chosen ones. 7 signs your spiritual awakening is over. It's time to use your power. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, around 3 o'clock i.e., with your heart racing for no reason you could name, a strange pressure in your chest, as if something enormous was about to shift in your life? Did it feel like the universe itself was whispering to you, not in words, but in a silent pull? An unseen force guiding you towards something greater. Chosen one, if these moments have followed you like shadows through your nights, know this: you are not imagining it. That was not fear, that was not coincidence. That was your soul remembering. Remembering who you are. Remembering why you came. You did not stumble across this video by accident. This moment has been divinely timed. It is not an algorithm, it is a sacred appointment. The very fact that you are here, reading these words, hearing this voice, means that your name has been called in the unseen. You are being summoned, not to begin your journey, but to complete your preparation. This is not the beginning. This is the threshold, the doorway between who you have been and who you were always meant to become. You may not have known it, but every trial, every heartbreak, every sleepless night, every whisper of intuition was guiding you here, to this moment of realization. For years, you may have been walking the path of awakening. You've questioned reality, you've broken illusions, you've separated yourself from the noise of the world and started to feel the truth pulsing beneath it all. But here's what most don't realize. Spiritual awakening is not the destination. It is the invitation, the activation. The shift from waiting to doing, from watching to creating. And chosen one, if your soul has felt unsettled lately, if you felt a deep, inexplicable stirring inside, like something is about to erupt from within you, it's because your spirit already knows the awakening is over. Now begins the mission. This isn't just about being aware anymore. This is about stepping into divine action. The universe, God, creation itself, they are all aligning around you because your role matters. You carry a light that is not just for you. It is for others who are still lost in the dark. And make no mistake, there is a war happening in the unseen, not a war of weapons, but of energy, of truth, of frequency. And the awakened are being called not to hide, not to wait, but to rise. So hear me now, and hear me clearly. If your heart is pounding, if your breath is shallow, if your soul is responding to this message like it's a long-lost echo, it's because it is. This is your confirmation. This is your sign. This is your moment. You are not just someone seeking truth. You are the truth. You are not here to find the light. You are here to be it. The world is waiting for you, chosen one, not someday, now. There once was a soul, not unlike yours, who had been awakened early. From childhood they felt the world differently. Where others saw surface, they felt depth. While their friends chased comfort, this one asked questions that made people uncomfortable. They read the sacred texts. They searched in silence. They meditated, fasted, watched the stars and waited, and slowly the veil lifted. They saw the systems for what they were. They noticed the falsehood in smiles, the emptiness in success, the noise behind religion without spirit. They knew they were different. They knew they were chosen. And so they waited, and they waited, and they waited. This soul, in all their spiritual clarity, made a tragic mistake, one that countless others continue to make even now. They thought awakening was enough, that seeing was the goal, that understanding truth was the final step, And so they sat in the sanctuary of knowing, but never moved into the battlefield of doing. They were so intoxicated with the high of insight, they forgot to turn revelation into responsibility, and that is where their growth stopped. That is where their power withered. Not from lack of purpose, but from lack of movement. It reminds me of the verse in James 1:22, "Be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves." Do you hear the urgency in that? Do you understand the warning? There is a deception far greater than ignorance, and it is knowledge without embodiment. It is knowing what you are, but not living as it. It is having a vision from God, but never taking the first step. It is receiving a spiritual inheritance and leaving it buried in the dirt. Moses did not just gaze at the burning bush and marvel. He walked back to Egypt, into the very place that once broke him, to become the liberator of a nation. Mary did not merely receive the angel's message and feel honored. She accepted it with a trembling yes, knowing it would cost her reputation, her safety, and perhaps her life. David was not just anointed by Samuel and told he would be king. He stood in front of Goliath with nothing but a sling and faith that defied logic. The common thread? They moved. They obeyed. They acted. They didn't just awaken, they activated. So I ask you, chosen one, what about you? You've read the sacred words. You've seen the numbers, the dreams, the signs. You've experienced moments of divine alignment, of intuition so sharp it silenced your logic. You've felt the Spirit press on you in ways that shattered your comfort. You've cried during sermons no one else seemed to feel. You've been called out of sleep. But what have you done with it? Has your awakening become your hiding place? Has spiritual knowledge become your comfort zone? Are you mistaking the high of inner awareness for the power of embodied action? Do you collect affirmations like trophies, but refuse to step onto the field where they must be lived? Do you scroll past prophecy, nodding in agreement, but return to a life that looks no different from before? Because if that's true, you are not alone, but you are stuck. And the enemy of your soul? He doesn't fear that you've awakened. He fears that you'll move. He fears that you'll rise, that you'll obey, that you'll take what's been revealed to you and become dangerous with it. Because one awakened soul who moves in obedience can change the spiritual atmosphere of a city, a family, a nation. The enemy doesn't mind you hearing sermons, he minds you becoming one. The truth is, there are so many awakened ones still trapped in the cycle of seeking. They've replaced religious addiction with spiritual addiction. Chasing another book, another retreat, another teacher, another sign. Always looking for something more, while ignoring the call to use what they already have. The journey becomes a loop, a hamster wheel of perpetual preparation. But the true power of awakening is not what you know, it's what you live. So again, I ask you, chosen one, and I ask this with love and fire, what have you done with what God has shown you? How long will you wait before you become the truth you already carry? How many more signs will you demand before you answer the one that's already burned itself into your bones? When will you stop attending your purpose like a distant admirer and start stepping into it like the warrior you were born to be? The Bible is not a collection of philosophies. It is a library of lives that were interrupted, called, and then sent. Noah built, Esther stood, Paul preached, Jesus acted. These were not thinkers, they were vessels in motion. They were chosen just like you. But the choosing meant nothing until they obeyed. And the same is true for you. Your knowledge is sacred, but knowledge without embodiment is spiritual negligence. And here's the truth that may sting, but will set you free. If you do not step into your purpose, the world will suffer for it. The light you carry is not optional, it is needed. The people who are meant to be freed by your voice are still in bondage, waiting. The atmosphere you are meant to shift remains stagnant because you have yet to arrive. The spiritual gates you are meant to open stay closed, because the one holding the key has not stepped forward. So breathe. Let this truth sink in. You are no longer allowed to play small. Not because someone told you to be great, but because the world is aching for what you carry. Heaven is calling you not to just feel chosen, but to walk as if you are. Your time of awakening was not for decoration, it was for deployment. And now the question that remains is not, are you chosen? The question is, what will you do with your choosing? Chosen one, this is sign number one, that your spiritual awakening is complete. You no longer feel separate from the universe. The illusion of isolation, of being cut off from God, from life, from meaning, it has dissolved. Where once you questioned if you belonged, if you were seen, if you mattered in the vastness of existence, now something sacred has awakened in your bones. You've stopped looking outside yourself for the divine, because you've realized the truth that has been whispering to you all along. The divine is not out there, it is within you. Not as a concept, but as a living current that breathes through your thoughts, your emotions, your being. There was a time when you prayed like someone dialing a distant number, hoping someone might answer. You begged for signs, you longed for proof. You felt like a wanderer, spiritually homeless, always looking, never finding. You searched for God in temples, churches, books, and between the lines of other people's testimonies. But now, something has shifted, hasn't it? You've had moments, brief maybe, but undeniable, moments when you weren't just aware of God. You felt God moving through your fingertips, pulsing in your breath, flowing through every cell in your body. You saw the divine in the wind, in strangers' eyes, in the ache of your own heart. And you knew, not with your mind, with your being. This transformation doesn't happen because you've read enough books or meditated long enough. It happens when the veil lifts and you recognize with terrifying and beautiful clarity that separation was always an illusion created by fear, by conditioning, by forgetting. But now you remember, and in that remembrance you become reconnected to everything. You no longer beg for signs from above. You are the sign. You no longer seek direction in the sky. You listen to the compass that beats beneath your ribs. You no longer question if you're on the right path, because the path rises to meet your steps. Scripture speaks to this sacred union in John 14:20, where Jesus says, "On that day you will realize that I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you." That day has come. You've stopped walking around the edges of your spirituality like a guest peeking through a window. You've entered the house. You've sat down at the table. You know that you are not just a child of God, you are a vessel of God's breath. And this changes how you live, how you love, how you respond to every moment of existence. So let me ask you, chosen one, and be honest with your soul. Are you still seeking something you already carry? Are you still waiting for someone to give you permission to be what you already are? Do you still believe you must do more, know more, be more, before you can embody your light? Or are you finally ready to accept that the light has already risen within you, and it's time to let it pour out? When you reach this point, a subtle but profound shift occurs. You stop chasing peace and start being peace. You stop trying to force outcomes and start flowing with divine timing. You no longer resist what is, you trust it. You no longer live in reaction, you live in creation. Because you now know that life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. This is not passive acceptance. This is active surrender, the kind of surrender that makes you unstoppable. You've noticed the change in how you relate to people too, haven't you? Where you once felt the need to prove your worth, to defend your path, to explain your knowing, you now rest in silence. You listen more than you speak. You radiate more than you reach. People feel your energy shift when you enter a space. You no longer feel like a guest in the room. You feel like you are the room. Present, grounded, You've stopped needing to belong, because you know you already do. To existence, to God, to the sacred order that pulses beneath every appearance of chaos. And here's the truth many will never tell you. When you arrive at this level of awareness, the battle ends, not outside, but within. The war between your ego and your essence begins to dissolve. You stop sabotaging your light to make others comfortable. You stop shrinking for the sake of safety. You stop fearing judgment, because judgment no longer speaks the language of your spirit. You see the game. You've left the arena. Now, your life becomes less about proving who you are and more about expressing who you are. You no longer define your worth by how much you achieve, accumulate, or accomplish. You define it by how deeply you remember your essence and how courageously you embody it. You begin to live not just as someone who knows the truth, but as someone who is the truth in motion. So let me leave you with this, chosen one. If you've stopped seeking external validation, if you've started to feel the divine not as an idea, but as your breath, your being, your birthright, then you are no longer in the process of awakening. You are awake. And that means you are no longer just a witness to the light. You are a steward of it, a channel, a vessel, a voice. If this sign is manifesting in your life, then you are ready for more than stillness. You are ready for sacred action. You are ready to use your power, not someday, but now. Chosen one, this is sign number 2 that your spiritual awakening is complete. Your intuition now guides you without hesitation, without needing permission, without the endless search for confirmation. What once felt like a faint whisper deep in the background of your mind has now become a commanding voice in your soul. A voice that doesn't shout, but speaks with a quiet authority that silences doubt. You no longer second-guess every feeling, every insight, every pull in your spirit. The fog has lifted. Your inner compass no longer spins aimlessly. It points forward with unwavering clarity. There was a time when you questioned everything, wasn't there? Every decision required an external sign. Every instinct required validation. You asked for angel numbers, for prophetic dreams, for more cards, more signs, more proof. You called friends to double-check your knowing, hoping they would echo what you already suspected. You delayed your steps, not because you lacked the answer, but because you didn't trust that it came from within. But now you move differently. Now you don't ask, what if I'm wrong? You ask, what if I ignore this and lose what's meant for me? You've tasted the consequence of ignoring your inner voice, and it has taught you better than any book or teacher ever could. This shift is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is not about recklessness, it is about reverence for the wisdom that lives in your bones. Because your intuition, chosen one, is not just a feeling, it is the language of your spirit. It is how the divine communicates through you, not just to you. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." Many misinterpret this to mean they must abandon their inner knowing. But the deeper truth is this: when your intuition is rooted in love, in peace, in alignment, it is the Lord speaking through your heart. So let me ask you, and be honest with yourself, how many times in the past did you override your gut feeling, only to suffer the consequences later? How often did you sense the truth, but chose the safe, logical path instead, and paid the price in energy, in peace, in time lost? Now think about the moments when you obeyed your intuition without question. What followed? Flow, alignment, peace. Even when the outside looked chaotic, something inside you felt unmoved, untouched, unshaken. This is the fruit of spiritual maturity. You are no longer led by fear, by doubt, by the opinions of others. You are no longer addicted to confirmation. You don't need 10 signs to take one step. You feel it and you move. And that movement, that trust, that is divine action. You no longer need to justify your choices to people who don't carry your vision. You no longer explain your decisions to those who live outside your alignment. You no longer shrink your intuition to fit their comfort. You walk by faith, but now that faith flows through you, not just in belief, but in direction. This level of trust frees you from the cage of indecision. You've noticed that your energy is cleaner now, lighter. You don't waste hours overthinking, spiraling, doubting. You don't toss and turn at night over choices that used to torment you. You feel the direction, and though it may scare you, it no longer paralyzes you. You obey, even when it makes no logical sense. Because logic has limits, but your soul does not. And here is what few people will understand. Your obedience to intuition isn't just for your benefit. It blesses others. Your yes creates a ripple in the collective. Your alignment unlocks someone else's breakthrough. When you follow your divine knowing, you are not just navigating your life, you are becoming a guidepost in someone else's storm. You are answering prayers you didn't even know were being prayed. But this gift comes with responsibility. Discernment is not just about sensing what's right. It's about acting on it. What good is knowing if you refuse to follow? What good is a compass if you never walk the path? Don't let spiritual knowledge become another form of avoidance. Don't let intuition become a museum of beautiful signs you never obeyed. Let it become your way of life. So I'll ask again, chosen one, are you still questioning your own knowing out of fear of being wrong? Or have you finally come to the place where your soul speaks louder than your doubt? When your inner voice rises above the static, do you lean into it? Or do you silence it with logic and delay? The truth is this. If you are being led by your intuition now, with clarity, consistency, and confidence, if you've stopped outsourcing your decisions to people who don't carry your calling, then this is your sign. You are no longer awakening, you are awakened. You are no longer learning how to trust, you are trusting. And that means it's time to act. Because when you trust yourself fully, you stop leaking energy into fear. You stop wasting time. You start living in divine flow. You become aligned not only with your purpose, but with your power. And when power meets purpose, destiny unfolds. Not someday, but now. If this is you, if your intuition is guiding you with a strength you can no longer ignore, then you are ready. Not to keep seeking, but to step forward. Not to wait for more signs, but to be the sign. Not to ask for more light, but to shine it. You are ready to act. You are ready to become. You are ready to rise. Chosen one, this is sign number 3 that your spiritual awakening is complete. Material desires no longer control you. What once ruled your thoughts, dictated your decisions, and measured your worth no longer holds power over your soul. You have begun to see through the illusion, the glittering veil that society drapes over your eyes to keep you chasing what you never needed to begin with. There was a time when your joy rose and fell based on numbers in your bank account, the price tag on your clothes, the likes on your posts, the compliments you received. You were taught to value image over essence, success over stillness, status over spirit. But now, that spell is breaking. This transformation didn't come easily. It often began through loss, the stripping away of what you thought defined you, the career that collapsed, the relationships that faded, the moments when money couldn't buy peace or meaning. Pain cracked your ego just enough for the light to get in, and in that light, you saw the truth. That real wealth was never outside of you. It was always within. You no longer measure success by accumulation, you measure it by alignment. You don't ask, "What will this bring me?" You ask, "Does this reflect who I truly am?" That is power. That is freedom. That is spiritual wealth. The shift is subtle but undeniable. You begin to move differently. You stop chasing what others worship. You stop comparing yourself to timelines, to titles, to the lives projected through curated images. You no longer envy those who appear to have it all, because you've seen what lies behind the curtain. You've learned that you can have everything this world offers and still feel empty. And you've tasted the kind of peace that no paycheck could ever provide. That peace is your compass now. That stillness is your wealth. Jesus said in Matthew 6:19-21, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Your heart is shifted. You no longer serve two masters. You don't walk with God while kneeling to greed. You've chosen soul over status, purpose over possession. That's not poverty. That's power. Because now money becomes a tool, not a master. A servant of your mission, not the measure of your identity. So let me ask you, chosen one, with full honesty. If everything you owned was taken from you tomorrow, would you still know who you are? Would your peace remain intact? Would your joy still rise like the morning sun, untouched by circumstance? Or would your sense of self crumble with the things you've attached to it? Because how you answer that tells you everything about where your true treasure lies. This doesn't mean you reject abundance. It doesn't mean you live without comfort or deny yourself prosperity. Quite the opposite. It means you're no longer a slave to it. You can receive wealth without worshipping it. You can enjoy comfort without being consumed by it. You can walk through a luxurious space and feel no more special than you do in silence and simplicity. That balance, that freedom, is rare and it is sacred. You now understand that true abundance flows not from effort alone, but from alignment. That when you live in purpose, provision follows. You're no longer chasing, it comes to you. Because your energy is no longer leaking into ego, it's rooted in presence. And that presence attracts everything you need for your assignment. You are no longer desperate to impress. You are committed to express. You don't accumulate to feel whole. You give because you already are. And in that giving, more flows back to you, not because you need it, but because you've become a channel through which blessing moves. This is how the awakened prosper, not by grasping tighter, but by letting go of the fear that says, "I am not enough," not by competing with others, but by aligning so deeply with their soul's calling that resources rise to meet them. You've stopped sacrificing your soul for success. You've stopped saying yes to things that cost you peace, and that is a revolution. One that cannot be bought, only embodied. So again, I ask you, what are you still clinging to that is costing you your freedom? What illusions of lack are still whispering lies to your worth? Are you still allowing the world to define what enough means to you? Or have you come to the place where enough lives within you, where you no longer look outside for what can only be found inside? If you have arrived at this place, if you no longer seek your value through things that can fade, be stolen or destroyed, then you have passed through one of the greatest gates of awakening. Because to be free from material control is to be free to serve your mission, to create without fear, to give without depletion, to lead without pride. This is the power that empires cannot offer. This is the power that silence cannot steal. This is the power of knowing who you are, without the world needing to agree. If you are experiencing this sign, chosen one, then you are no longer in the grip of the old systems. You are not a pawn in the game. You are the shift in the board itself. You have been entrusted with clarity that most will never taste. And that clarity, it comes with a call. It is not enough to be free. You must now free others. Your detachment is not just for your peace. It is for your purpose. It is time to use your liberated energy to create what matters, to serve those still seeking, to lead from a place of truth. If you are living this truth, if material desires no longer define you, distract you, or delay you, then you are ready, not to wait, not to wonder, but to act. You are ready to walk in purpose, in power, and in peace. Chosen one. This is sign number 4 that your spiritual awakening is complete. You have found strength in solitude. Once, silence may have felt like emptiness, isolation may have echoed like abandonment, and being alone may have seemed like punishment. But now, solitude is sacred. What once felt like a void has become a sanctuary. You no longer run from yourself. You sit with yourself. You no longer fill every quiet moment with noise, distraction, or external voices. You welcome the stillness, because it is in that stillness that you hear God most clearly. The transformation did not happen overnight. There were seasons when loneliness wrapped around you like a cold wind, and you questioned whether the disconnection from people, places, and even parts of your past was divine or destructive. But now you understand. The shedding of connections that no longer served your evolution was not rejection, it was redirection. You were not being punished, you were being positioned. You weren't being left behind, you were being pulled deeper. And what you once called isolation, you now recognize as divine invitation. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." This verse is no longer just beautiful poetry to you. It is your lived experience. In stillness, you found truth. In silence, you heard the whisper of your purpose. In solitude, you stopped being who the world told you to be, and you remembered who God created you to be. There is a power that rises in a soul who can sit alone in the dark and not be afraid. And that power now lives in you. You've begun to notice that you no longer crave constant company. You don't feel the need to explain yourself, entertain others, or perform for approval. You're not lonely, you're aligned. You're not cut off, you're connected at a higher level. You walk into a room and don't need to be seen because you see yourself. You don't need validation because you've validated your own existence. You're no longer available to energy that drains you, to relationships that pull you off path, to conversations that distract you from your calling. You've become intentional with your time, selective with your presence, and sacred with your boundaries. So let me ask you, chosen one, with deep honesty, do you fear being alone, or are you finally at peace in your own presence? When the world grows quiet and no one is texting, calling, or affirming you, do you collapse inward, or do you expand into the silence? When no one is clapping, are you still dancing? When no one is watching, are you still living with integrity, with purpose, with fire in your spirit? Because how you answer these questions reveals the depth of your transformation. Your solitude is no longer a lack of love. It is the overflow of it. You're not withdrawing to escape, you're retreating to recharge. You've learned that solitude sharpens your discernment. It clarifies your vision. It reconnects you to the divine frequency that gets drowned out in the noise of the world. In a society addicted to distraction, you have become grounded in presence. That is not weakness, that is mastery. Jesus himself often withdrew to solitary places to pray, to reconnect, to listen. Luke 5:16 tells us, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." If the Son of God found strength in stillness, how much more should we? You are following the same pattern. not by running away, but by returning home. Home to yourself, home to God, home to the quiet, where truth rises like the sun. People around you may not understand. They may question your distance, your silence, your disinterest in meaningless chatter. But that's because they are still looking for themselves in others, while you have found yourself in the quiet. They fill their time to avoid their thoughts. You face your thoughts to transform them. They need the noise to feel alive. You've discovered that life hums most clearly in the quiet. And now, something else is happening. You are no longer willing to trade your peace for anyone's presence. You are no longer willing to compromise your energy just to feel included. You would rather sit alone in truth than be surrounded in illusion. That is not arrogance. It is reverence for the sacred space you have cultivated within. You're no longer desperate to be understood. You're devoted to understanding yourself. So let me ask you again, and answer from your soul. Have you found peace in your own company? Have you come to value your own energy enough to protect it with fierce love? Have you learned to listen not just with your ears, but with your spirit? If so, then you are no longer awakening, you are awake, and that awareness changes everything. If you are experiencing this sign, if you have stopped fearing solitude and started seeking it, if you have learned to hear God in the silence, if you have made peace your highest pursuit, then you are ready. You are not being hidden, you are being prepared. The depth you've built in private is about to echo in the lives of many. Your quiet has cultivated strength that the world desperately needs. And now, chosen one, it is time to rise. Not with noise, but with presence. Not with force, but with unshakable peace. If this is where you are ready, not to hide, but to act. You are ready to step out from the sacred stillness and bring your light into the world. The world is loud, but you are steady. The world is chaotic, but you are clear. The world is restless, but you are rooted. And that is the mark of someone who has truly awakened, chosen one. This is sign number 5, that your spiritual awakening is complete. You are beginning to naturally attract those who need your light. Without trying, without promoting, without pushing, people are drawn to you. It's not charisma. It's not charm. It's not because you speak louder or shine brighter than anyone else. It's because your energy has shifted into truth. You have become a lighthouse. And when you carry truth, peace, and divine clarity within you, souls navigating storms will find you, even when you say nothing at all. This didn't happen when you were still trying to fit in. It didn't happen when you were masking your light to stay comfortable or palatable. This began the moment you chose to be fully yourself, unapologetically aligned, fully present in your spirit. And since that moment, the people around you have started to change. Some have walked away, not out of hatred, but because your frequency no longer matched theirs. Others have arrived, often in tears, often in silence, seeking comfort, healing, or understanding, without knowing why they trust you. They just do. You've likely experienced it by now. Strangers open up to you without being asked. Friends call you in moments of crisis, drawn to the calm you carry even when you have no answers. Someone confides in you at the grocery store, at the airport, in the quiet space between small talk and something sacred. They might even say, "I don't know why I'm telling you this, but your soul knows." Their soul knows. It's because your light has become a frequency that awakens something ancient and honest in others. This is no accident. It is written in Matthew 5:14-16, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." You are not meant to be hidden anymore. You have been through the darkness, not just to heal yourself, but to become a point of reference for others who are still lost in it. You are not better than them. You are simply ahead of them on a path you now see clearly, and that vision is a gift. But it also comes with responsibility. So let me ask you, chosen one, and ask this not just with words but with spirit. Are you noticing that people feel safer around you, even if they don't know why? Have you become a space where others feel like they can breathe, be honest, break open, or begin to remember who they are? Do people come to you not because you offer them escape, but because your presence anchors them? If so, this is not coincidence. This is confirmation. This sign is not about ego. It's not about being worshipped or followed. It's about being available energetically, spiritually, compassionately, for the divine appointments being sent your way. Not everyone who comes to you is meant to stay. Not everyone who seeks your light is ready to find their own. Some will take and resist. Some will admire and resist. Some will try to cling, not knowing how to rise. This is where discernment becomes sacred. You must know who to pour into and who to release with love. You are not here to rescue everyone. You are here to reflect what's possible. Your awakening is not only a blessing, it is a beacon. And now, your life speaks more than your words. Your peace is louder than your arguments. Your calm disrupts chaos. Your authenticity confronts falseness. Your inner light doesn't need spotlights. It shines through your very presence. And that presence is beginning to do the work of God without you forcing anything. And yet, with this gift comes a deeper call. Will you embrace the responsibility of your resonance? Will you protect your energy so that it remains clean and strong, even in the midst of others' pain? Will you create space for those who are ready, while honoring your limits with those who are not? Will you lead, not by control or perfection, but by radical presence? The truth is, people are looking for something real, not rehearsed, not polished, but real. And when you've faced your own shadows, when you've come through your own fire, when you've survived your own breakdowns and come out more whole, you become that realness, you become that proof, and souls can feel it. They may not know your story, but your energy speaks it. They may not know your name, but your spirit has been calling them. You don't need to convince, you just need to be. And that being will open doors no effort ever could. So I ask you again, are you noticing the pull? Are people finding you in unexpected moments? Are you being positioned in rooms you never chased, in conversations you never planned, in hearts you never tried to open? If so, you are not just waking up anymore, you are awake, and that awareness has become activation. You are no longer only receiving light, you are reflecting it, you are transmitting it. You are walking as if you are experiencing this sign. If your presence has become a balm for others, a quiet catalyst for their truth, then your time has come. You are ready to move beyond internal awakening into external service. You are ready to become a sacred mirror, a divine reminder, a vessel through which healing begins. Not because you force it, but because you allow it. If this is happening in your life, then you are ready, not to hide, not to hoard, but to rise and to shine. Because those who are drawn to your light were always meant to find it. And now, the time has come to stop dimming, stop doubting, and start stepping fully into your calling. If you are living this truth, then you are no longer preparing. You are here, you are ready, you are being called, and your light is needed now more than ever. Chosen one, this is sign number 6 that your spiritual awakening is complete. You see through illusions and lies. You no longer need someone to expose deception. You feel it instantly. Your soul has become a radar for what is real and what is false. And this discernment is not intellectual, It is energetic. It is deep, immediate, and undeniable. Where others are still debating, analyzing, and second-guessing, you simply know. You don't need the mask to fall. You see behind it before it even speaks. You don't need someone to admit their hidden motives. You already feel the discord in their presence. This transformation didn't come from education, from more information, or from long hours of analysis. It came from deep inner alignment. When your soul returned to truth, it sharpened your vision. You've seen too much to unsee it. The veil has been lifted, and what once looked normal now feels heavy with distortion. You no longer live in the surface layer of the world. You perceive the energy beneath the words, the intent behind the smile, the shadow in the silence, and that perception is a gift. But it is also a responsibility. There was a time when you were easily swayed, easily distracted by polished appearances or charming words. There was a time when you believed what you were told by the systems, the institutions, the media, even the voices that claim to speak truth. But now, you've developed a holy immunity. You can hear the lie behind the sermon. You can feel the manipulation in the sales pitch. You can see the emptiness in the success the world worships. You've stopped chasing glitter because you found the gold within. John 8:32 says, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." But what many don't realize is that freedom requires courage. Because once you know the truth, you can no longer play along with the lie. You can no longer remain silent in the face of spiritual compromise. You can no longer smile and nod just to keep the peace. Because peace built on deception is not peace, it is spiritual imprisonment. Your discernment is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is obedience to the truth that now lives in your bones. So I ask you, chosen one, with sacred honesty, have you felt the discomfort in rooms where everyone seems fine, but your spirit recoils? Have you looked into someone's eyes and sensed a hollowness no words could explain? Have you heard someone speak what sounded true but felt false, and later watched events unfold exactly as your soul predicted? If so, this is not paranoia. This is spiritual clarity. This is the sixth sign. This is you awakening into your role as a seer, a discerner, a guardian of the real. This level of truth comes at a cost. It separates you. It isolates you. It makes you unrelatable to those still caught in the illusion. But do not mourn that separation. It is divine. The more clearly you see, the more deeply you are entrusted. You are no longer meant to blend in. You are here to be set apart. And because of this, your decisions have changed. You don't go where everyone else goes. You don't follow trends, accept systems, or surrender to rules that violate your inner knowing. You've stopped asking for evidence. You walk by the Spirit, not by sight. There is a moment in every chosen one's journey where the clarity becomes painful. When you look around and wonder why others can't see what is now so obvious to you. You grieve their blindness. You want to shake them awake. But remember this, just as you were once blind, so too are they on their path. Your job is not to judge their process, but to honor your clarity and move in obedience. Truth must be lived before it can be preached. Integrity must be embodied before it is spoken. And now, you live differently. You spend time with people not based on status, but on energy. You say no to opportunities that don't align, even if they promise gain. You walk away from anything, anyone, that smells like compromise. And this is not rejection, this is protection. You are protecting the frequency of truth that God has activated in you. So again, I ask you, what illusions have you recently seen through? What lies have fallen apart in your hands? What situations have you stepped away from, not because you had proof, but because you had peace. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations. You are no longer bound to what others believe. You are being led by a higher source, and that source is not outside of you, it speaks from within. If you are experiencing this sign, if you see through manipulation, if your soul rejects deception the moment it arrives, if your body tightens in false energy but softens in truth, then you are no longer in the process of waking up. You are awake. You are not guessing. You are knowing. And knowing demands action. Chosen one, if this discernment is alive in you, then you are ready. Ready to move in alignment even when others misunderstand. Ready to walk away without explanation. Ready to protect your light and refuse the counterfeit, no matter how shiny it appears. You were not given this clarity to keep it hidden. You were not awakened to continue living as if you were blind. You were given sight so you could walk in purpose and lead others by example. If you're living this truth, you're not just seeing more clearly, you're being prepared for greater responsibility. Because those who see must lead, and those who lead must live with truth as their foundation. If this sign is manifesting in your life, you are not waiting for clarity. You are clarity. You are ready. And the world needs what you now carry. Chosen one, this is sign number 7 that your spiritual awakening is complete. You hear the call to your mission, and you can no longer delay it. This calling is not subtle anymore. It is not a soft whisper or a gentle pull. It is a roaring fire in your chest, a divine ache in your bones, an unrelenting voice in your soul that will not let you rest until you act. You feel it in your body. You hear it in your dream. You sense it in the quiet moments when the world falls away and all that remains is the certainty that you were not born just to survive. You were born to serve. The transformation is undeniable. There was a time when you questioned everything. You doubted your worth, your gifts, your timing. You asked for more signs, more proof, more time. You believed that once you were more ready, more healed, more enlightened, then you would begin. But now, something inside you has shifted. You are no longer satisfied with learning alone. You are no longer comfortable simply receiving. Your soul is no longer content to sit still. You can feel the sacred pressure building, as if the entire universe is pushing you forward. And it is. Because the time has come. This is not just a feeling, it is divine instruction. In Isaiah 6:8, the prophet hears the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And Isaiah answers, "Here am I, send me." That moment is not about perfection, it's about readiness of spirit, it's about surrender, it's about stepping forward even when the full path is not clear. And that is where you are now. You don't have all the answers. You may not know the full picture, but you know you cannot stay here. You know something must begin. Let me ask you this, chosen one, and ask it not just with words, but with fire. How long have you felt this inner calling and ignored it? How many mornings have you woken up with the weight of unexpressed purpose on your chest? How many times have you felt that today was the day, but then the old fears pulled you back into comfort, into delay, into silence? And now, how loud has it become? How unbearable is the waiting? How hollow do the distractions feel? You are not imagining this urgency. It is not anxiety. It is activation. You've been prepared. Everything you've gone through, the heartbreaks, the breakthroughs, the nights you cried out to heaven, the moments you stood in awe at the edge of the divine, all of it has led you here. And now the voice is calling, not someday, not when you've earned it, but now. Because your gifts are not yours to hoard. They were planted in you to be sown into others. You didn't awaken just to be wise. You awakened to become a vessel of transformation for a world desperate for real light. You've tried to resist it. You've tried to tell yourself you need more time, more confirmation, more clarity, but your soul knows better. Your soul is not interested in perfect timing, it's interested in obedience. You feel the urgency because the time is now, and it's not just about what you're meant to do. It's about who you're meant to be while doing it. You're not just called to a task, you're called to a way of living, a way of loving, a way of leading that disrupts darkness simply by existing in truth. You've begun to notice the discomfort of delay. The things that once distracted you no longer satisfy. The spaces that once held your attention now feel too small. You are being stretched because your spirit is outgrowing the shell it once lived in. You are being called to step forward, not with loudness, but with certainty. Not with perfection, but with presence. Not with ego, but with surrender. So I ask you, chosen one, what is burning in your spirit right now? What assignment have you been carrying but not birthing? What message have you been holding back because of fear? What healing, what guidance, what leadership lives within you, waiting to be expressed through your hands, your voice, your life? Are you still asking for permission? Or are you ready to declare, "Send me"? If you are feeling this inner pressure, this holy discontent, this unshakable knowing that you can't wait any longer, then you are no longer awakening. You are awake. And the only thing left to do is answer. No more delay, no more excuses, no more waiting for the perfect sign, because you are the sign. Your life is the confirmation. Your desire to serve is the evidence. The discomfort you feel is not punishment, it is a holy push into divine action. If you are experiencing this sign, if your soul is urging you to move, to speak, to serve, to build, to lead, to love, then this is your moment. The call is not just on you, it is within you. And once you feel it, you cannot ignore it without consequence. Every day you delay is a day your light goes dim. Every moment you wait is a moment someone who needs you remains in the dark. You are not just being called for yourself, you are being called because there are people waiting for what only you carry. If this is where you are, if your spirit is restless, your heart stirred, and your silence heavy, then you are ready. Ready to rise, ready to answer, ready to walk in the fullness of your assignment. Chosen one, the voice has called your name. Now it's time to speak back. Here I am, send me. You have been prepared, you have been equipped, and you have been chosen. Now rise, the world is waiting for your obedience. Chosen one, if your soul has resonated with these 7 undeniable signs, then the waiting is over. There is nothing more to prepare, nothing more to prove, nothing more to seek. The time for hesitation has passed. You have been called. You have been chosen. You have been shaped by fire, refined by silence, awakened by divine intention. This is your moment. Not someday in the future, not when your fear disappears. This is the sacred now. This is the crossroad of destiny, and it's calling your name. You were not shown these truths to admire them. You were not brought through this transformation to keep it private. You were not gifted with insight and vision so you could remain seated in comfort. The 7 signs are not suggestions. They are confirmations. They are God's whisper turned to a roar in your spirit. You've been given the clarity. You've been given the strength. All that's left is the response. Heaven is watching. The earth is trembling, the atmosphere is shifting, because you are on the edge of stepping into your purpose in a way that changes not just your life, but the lives of everyone your energy touches. So I ask you now, with fire in your heart and tears in your eyes, will you rise? Will you accept the mission you've been prepared for your entire life? Will you step out of waiting and into becoming? Will you carry your light, your truth, your voice into a world starving for authenticity and love? If this message is ringing through your chest like thunder, if your spirit is leaping with recognition, if you feel the divine pulling you to say yes, then now is the time to declare it. Type it below, not for me, not for the algorithm, but as a covenant with the divine. Type, I rise, I accept the mission, I embody truth. And comment 777 to seal this moment in the language of the Spirit, the number of divine completion. Let the universe record your voice. Let the heavens witness your readiness. This is not performance. This is prophecy. This is your agreement with the Creator that you are done hiding, done doubting, done delaying. You are here. You are awake. You are ready. Now let us pray together with full hearts and open spirits. Heavenly Father, Almighty Source of all wisdom and light, I come to you on behalf of the soul reading this right now. The chosen one you have been shaping in secret. Lord, I ask that you pour your Spirit upon them like a rushing wind. Break every chain that has held them back, every lie they believed about their worth, every wound that whispered they were not enough, every fear that paralyzed their purpose. God, flood them with boldness, with vision, with holy fire that cannot be quenched. Surround them with your angels, divine messengers, to walk with them into every unknown place. Strengthen their body, sharpen their discernment, expand their heart. Where there has been silence, let there be your voice. Where there has been confusion, bring divine clarity. Where there has been waiting, release divine movement. I declare right now that no weapon formed against this soul shall prosper. I declare their season of preparation is complete. I declare that the doors meant for them will swing open wide, and that your power will go before them in every step they take. Bless their mission. Expand their territory. Use them mightily for your glory and for the healing of this world. And now, chosen one, receive this final message with the weight and beauty it carries. You were not randomly born. You were not forgotten. You were not left behind. You are here for such a time as this. You are here to shift timelines, to heal generations, to awaken the sleeping and raise the frequency of this world with your voice, your hands, your choices. Do not shrink. Do not run. You are ready. You are enough. You are the answer someone has been praying for. Comment below right now. I rise. I accept the mission. I embody truth. And tag one soul, one person, one spirit you know is still asleep. Because the light you carry might just be the spark they need to wake up. We are not meant to rise alone. We are a divine army. We are many. And together we move mountains. Now go, chosen one, rise, speak, lead, heal, shine. Your time is now.